I am going to be making some of my morning glory muffins for my family for our Sunday brunch today, and I thought, why not share the recipe with you and kind of just get two things done at one time. I have thought about sharing this recipe with you for a really long time because these muffins are so good, and they're morning glory with a twist. I've had to change them up a bit, and I think I've made them actually better and healthier. So how this came about was a friend of mine cannot tolerate a lot of flour. So she asked me if I could try to make these muffins with more large oats. And I thought at the same time more coconut because she loves coconut. And so through time, I've played with the recipe a little bit, but I have come to be able to make it where I'm satisfied with it, and more importantly, she's satisfied with it. And I think it tastes really good. Because there are so many oats, large oats at that, and coconut in this recipe, the muffins are a little bit denser, so you're not going to get the big, beautiful bakery dome on top. They're a little bit flatter, and they spread out because I make them really large. Now, what this does is, if you like oatmeal raisin cookies, it gives at least the tops of these muffins that kind of texture and chew, and we love it. It's so good. One time I made them because I thought, oh, it'd be nice if they were a bit taller, so I put in larger liners so that the muffins could bake upwards with the help of the liner, and it works and it looks good, but you lose the chew. And the chew and the crispiness is really nice. So there's a tip for you. If you do not like the crispy and the chewiness, just make some cupcake liners or muffin liners with parchment paper so that they grow up, or buy larger ones. And then they will bake upwards on the paper versus on the pan. And then you get taller, softer muffins. If you like them chewy, like a delicious oatmeal cookie, then you're gonna like this cookie or this muffin and this recipe. Now, it also is a little bit like a carrot cake. So if you imagine a carrot cake meets an oatmeal raisin cookie, you have these morning glory muffins. Okay, I have one more tip for you. We will be grating up some apples and using some pineapple. It's very wet. We cannot have all that moisture in our batter. So if you have a clean towel, and I highly recommend, if not one that you've used fabric softener with or any of the scent beads, because that's like in it and you don't want to eat that. So I do not use fabric softener, and so my towels are good. If you don't have one like this, then just use paper towel. And I often use paper towel and a lot of it because I don't want to use a towel and then have it sit for a week with all that juice in it. I have to do the laundry today, so I'm gonna use a towel. There's my tips for that. Paper towel works great. You just have to use quite a bit. For the moisture levels, the apple you wanna wring right out. For the crushed pineapple, you don't have to do it as much because we do need some moisture. This is a really dense muffin. So I would say about 70%. Get about 70% out, and the rest is fine. All right, that's all the tips I have for you. Here is what you will need to make these muffins. To start us off, needless to say, you're gonna need a muffin tin, just 12, and some liners. I highly recommend the parchment paper variety because the muffins do not stick to those. A large bowl, a medium-sized bowl. We're gonna use 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 2/3 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, dash of salt, 1 1/3 cups of large oats, 1 cup of oil, 3 eggs, 1 cup of unsweetened coconut, and then a little extra if you want just to put on top, a 1/2 cup of raisins. Now we soak them in hot water just for a little bit to soften them up before we bake. Makes them a lot nicer. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Now for the vegetables and the fruit, so the carrot, I'm just showing you this really large one that I have here. I will grate this up. Now, if you want to really measure it, about 2 cups of shredded, and not packed, just nicely put into the cup. So I find a large carrot does the job, so I don't even measure anymore. And then for the apples, same thing. 3/4 of a cup if you're measuring, and again, not packed in, but just grated. And I grate it with the skins. I just choose a good size apple. It's nothing small, nothing ginormous, like a medium sized apple. It does the trick. Any variety has worked well. And then 1 can of crushed pineapple. You also need a grater and a towel or paper towel. So the first thing we're gonna do is prepare our carrot, apple, and our pineapple, and then we'll set it aside and then move on to the dry ingredients. I'm gonna do the apple and the carrot all at one time on the cloth. So that's roughly the amount of carrot that you're gonna want. You can see that just by eyeballing it, that's approximately 2 cups. So that is good. I'm just gonna transfer it over to a plate. It does not need to be drained out because it doesn't have a ton of moisture in it. A little bit is okay. All right, and again, just leave the skin of the apple on. What I do is if it, if it clumps up like that, I just kind of pull it off so that the muffins don't have a giant clump of skin in them. Well, that's what it looks like. I'll stop there. All right, I'm just gonna go wring this out in my sink and I'll show you what it looks like when enough moisture is out. There we are. It'll be clumpy. That's how you know you got enough out. And here's the pineapple. See, it's a lot moisture. So I want a little bit of that moisture to remain in with that. So, oops. Just gonna put it on the plate with the rest, and now we'll move on to the dry ingredients. See, if you have paper towel, you can just throw that in the compost. Paper towel is much nicer, just costs more money. I should actually mention that this is when you'll want to go and heat up your oven to 425. I do it after I get all the fruit and vegetables ready because the batter will need to sit for about 15 minutes after we make it and put it all together. So yeah, there's no need for it to be done ahead of time. Okay, let's start off with the flour. We need 1 2/3 cup. Next up, white sugar, 1 full cup of it. And same with the coconut, 1 full cup. Large oats will be 1 1/3 cup. What I often do with my 1/3 cup afterwards is I just put a little bit of coconut in for it for later to add to the tops of the muffins before they bake. Just a little bit like that, but this is optional. Next, a little bit of salt, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Just gonna give it a stir and then put it to the side, and we'll finish off with the rest of our wet ingredients. I highly recommend doing your eggs first with the wet ingredients so that if a shell goes in, you're okay. Those eggs are rolling away. It's just easier to remove a shell when there's no other ingredients in there. One teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup of oil, and I'm just going to whisk the eggs and the oil and vanilla up before I add in the fruit and vegetables. I drained the raisins, and after I drain them, I just leave a little piece of paper towel on the bottom just because of all the water in between them, so I'm not getting a bunch of water into this liquid mixture. And then here's our carrot, pineapple, and apple. Give it a good mix. Make sure all the clumps are gone. And then we'll add it to our drying ingredients. It's gonna be a really thick mixture. Easier with a spatula than a fork, isn't it? I personally find if you use like almost like a hybrid of a stir and fold, it works best. Once you see no more flour, you're good to go, but my hand always gets tired mixing that together. All right, time to prepare the pan. I'm gonna move on to this side to fill. It's too hard the other way. We are going to fill these up nice and high. Once they're all filled, just use up the remaining portion of your batter to even them out a bit. Because you want to use 100% of your batter in this recipe. And I personally like to clean off my pan as much as I can before I bake, because it's just easier to do it before it burns on. It's gonna take about another 5 minutes for my oven to warm up, which is great because these need to keep resting for a little bit longer. So once your oven is ready, you're going to bake these muffins at 425 for 9 minutes. Once 9 minutes is over, just keep the door closed. You're going to lower the temperature to 375. You're going to bake your muffins at that temperature anywhere from 13 to 16 minutes, depending on your oven. So you're just gonna finish them off at that temperature. Use a toothpick, make sure it comes out clean. Now it can be tricky sometimes because there's fruit in it. So sometimes the toothpick can look wet. So you're really gonna have to discern between the moisture of the fruit versus unbaked batter. So just know that. But it is a long time in the oven, much longer than a traditional muffin that I do. But 9 minutes, 425, 13 to 16 minutes at 375. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot my coconut. I was cleaning up and I saw it. So again, this part's optional. I just think it's a really nice touch. Add a little more coconut to the top. It looks pleasing, tastes great. There we are. Now we're ready to bake. Here they are all done, and I'm just gonna let them rest in the tin for a few minutes, because if you take them out, because they are like touching the pan, if you take them out too soon, you have a good chance of losing a top. It'll separate. So let it cool for just about 5 minutes, and then you can put them on a cooling rack. There they are. So good. So you can see that the muffin top is flatter. As previously mentioned, it doesn't have the nice dome on top, but if you like oatmeal cookies, you're gonna like the top of these. So for storage, if your house is a nice like room temperature, it's okay. It's okay to leave them on the counter or store them in the fridge if you want them for longer, or even the freezer, because they will thaw nicely. But if your house is warm, It's a warm season, it's just that time of year. And you have these in an airtight container, you could produce condensation because of all the moisture within the muffin, which will then breed mold. So just a heads up about that. I'm fine because our house is not warm. It's like Canada, end of March. So we're okay. But I want you to be aware of that because after all that work, I don't want them to go bad on you. Well, that is it. I really do hope that you give these healthier Morning Glory muffins a try. They are so delicious and they're packed with nutrients. They do take some time, but I do think it's well worth it. So I hope that you give them a try. And if you do, or if you have any questions, please leave that down below in the comment section. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and please come back soon to see what I'm baking up next. Bye everyone.